What is going on YouTube? Rice Crispy 94 here, joined by the one and only Cryoquake.
What's going on, everybody? Cryoquake here, and we're back with a Monster Corner once again. No Torchic this time, but definitely a very interesting monster, which came from Bryce himself. So I'm really excited about this one.
So, as you guys can tell by the thumbnail and the layout and all sorts of stuff, we are doing the Chardalyn dragon. Now, well, let me bring up the image of it so you guys can see it here. So it is this beautiful, almost metal looking, but as I just told Cryo, it's not actually metal. It's made of a Chardalyn, which is a gem found in Icewind Dale. So it is a construct. It's not actually a dragon. But we'll cover that in the origin and history. This is its design. It is a 5th edition only monster. So yeah, what do you think of it?
So, okay, my first question, right? Because unless they don't detail it, so obviously, right, it's not metal, it's gem, which you can kind of, just by looking at it, you can kind of tell, right?
Right.
It definitely has like that metal texture, but like looking at, like, if you look at like the I don't know what that would be, like the elbow, I suppose, right there where like the 3 spikes are at, it's kind of like almost like, how do I describe it? Like the sedimentary,
yes, like cut like a rock would be cut.
Yeah.
Type deal.
Or like, yeah, or like kind of like salt mineral, like mineral, right?
Right.
Not like metal. It's like mineral. So I could definitely see it. But then you look at like the face and you're like, that's like metal.
The
so
face definitely
like
gives it like, oh, you're like, it looks like a knight helmet. So you automatically think metal.
It's a misdirect, which I like. Well, maybe not a misdirect, but so my main question is, so if that's the rock, what are the wings? Are the wings,
the wings
like a leather?
They are a rubbery tarp material.
Interesting.
They don't really say what they're made of, only that, you know, it is a rubbery material.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. It needs to expand and kind of...
I'm kind of thinking something like a wingsuit would be made out of.
I was thinking more like trampoline tarp.
I could see that.
Because like it's stretchy and like...
That... It has holes in it, though, trampoline tarp.
That's, I mean, that's true, I suppose. Well, I don't know. I like that it's purple, though.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's cool.
I love the yellow, which is actually, again, we'll talk about more in history, but that is actually the core that powers it shining through.
That's what I gleamed that from reading a little bit into it beforehand.
Yeah, so I love that. I mean, I really like the design of it.
I think it's super badass because, like, you can think about it, right? Like, dragons themselves are such a humongous threat. Like, oh, let's just build one.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, let's just fucking make a dragon, which is somehow scarier. Because it's metal,
crazy,
so it's
though,
probably
like,
harder to hit.
Right? It's not as strong as a regular dragon, but it is cool.
I mean, yeah, nothing, you can't recreate, like, nature. Right, but sometimes the things that people create out of nature are more deadly, more unhinged, and, you know, something like this, you don't have to, like, tame. It's just automatically yours to control.
It bends to your will.
Which is arguably scarier, but it's also more scary if you can get an actual dragon to bend your will, which is, you know.
Right, so, it's only got the one design, because 5th edition Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden is its first appearance. Now, let's go ahead. We've touched upon its origin and history a little bit, but we'll touch on it a little bit more. So, like we said, it is made out of Chardalyn. So, Chardalyn is this beautiful ore that you can see on screen. It is a rock that is found in Icewind Dale. It was once thought useless until mages and sorcerers kind of discovered it and found out they could infuse magic into it. So basically, one day some crazy person was like, I'm gonna make a dragon out of this.
As one does.
Yeah, so, you know, they built the dragon, and then the core, the heart of this thing, I believe, let me double check here, I don't want to be wrong. like a, how do I say this? I don't even know how to say it. It is a core, like an infused gem. Not Chardalyn, but another type of gem that powers this thing. It almost has like a crystal heart in its chest that gives it its power.
Like an energy source type of thing?
Yeah. So basically, you know, some crazy person builds this thing and views it with dark magic. It is dark magic. It has to be dark magic to power this thing. And then, yeah, they have a free dragon. Well, not free. It probably took a while to sculpt that thing.
Oh, this is probably like a good like couple of years.
Right. So, yeah. Not much on its origin and history because newer monster. But that's how they're made. That's what they're made out of. So let's move on to quick stats.
I also kind of like to like we touched upon this last episode a little bit, like kind of leaving it up to an interpretation.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and just kind of being like, well, who really knows, right? So you can do what you want with it in like whatever form.
There's a more defined origin for it in Icewind Dale. I don't want to spoiler that for anybody who's playing through the actual campaign.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. At least there's a more defined origin for the Chardalyn dragon that appears in the book.
Oh boy, look at this beefy stat block. I think though we've seen beefier stat blocks.
I think we have.
So.
But I mean, this one pretty good.
The Rakshas's one was pretty big.
Yeah. A Rakshasa might actually be tougher than this.
I think it was 13.
Yeah.
But it also has magic, and so like that's a. But. Oh boy.
Mean, just look at immutable form real quick.
Oh Jesus. Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair though, that's not like an end-all be-all.
Right. It's just
you know what I mean?
You can't polymorph it. You can't shrink it.
I would even argue that you might not even be able to banish it.
Does that alter form though?
I mean, I guess not. Maybe. But like technically, no, it doesn't alter you as a person, but it does alter where you go.
No.
But alters its form. I don't think it technically alters your form. That one's difficult for me. Right. But I mean, it doesn't matter because it. Well, we'll get down to it. But yeah. Magic resistance, so the chances of it happening are small. Well, no, because I think banishment's a charisma save, and if we start at the top, that charisma
pretty low.
Oh,
armor
boy.
class 17, which makes sense. This thing's made of rock. It's gonna be hard.
I would even argue it could be higher.
I was about to say that. I was like, I would almost argue that it could be 18.
Because I mean, like it's equivalent to like I mean the look of it looks like a knight in like full plate, and full plate I think is 18.
Right.
So you know what I mean. And but it's not metal. It's rock, so it's technically weaker. I'm okay with 17. Is not. I'm not gonna scoff at 17. Like, yeah.
147 on average with 14d12 plus 56 hit.
Jesus.
This thing can be a tank.
Oh God! I just saw that flying speed.
Yeah. So I don't like the flying speed on it because
because it's heavy.
It's made of rock, and B, its wings are made of rubber. Like, I feel like this thing could be able to glide, but I really can't see this thing flying around.
That's fair, I suppose, but also, does it ever state if Chardalyn's, like, lighter than your average gem?
You know, I don't know. It doesn't really talk much about its weight.
That's fair. Yeah, because look, I'm looking at an ancient red dragon right now, and they can only fly 80.
See?
Which, like, I don't really buy into that, right? Because like I get it, like it's mechanically made, and typically like mechanically made things are better at stuff.
What's a regular speed on a red dragon?
I think their walking speed though is 40. So I guess maybe that's the payoff.
I guess you get 10. I would say you should get like maybe 10 extra walking speed for 10 less fly speed for this thing, just because of its origin.
But it's heavy.
Yeah. Well,
It
I guess
also.
I don't know if it's heavy. It's technically hollow.
Oh, that's true. Regular dragons have a climb speed though, so maybe that was just something they forgot about. But this boy does not have a climb speed.
No.
I mean, arguably though, you could probably give it one.
Right.
Because I mean, I don't think it would
I feel
be.
like it needs a climb speed. It's in literally Icewind Dale, home of giant ice mountains.
I would argue this thing probably has a better climb speed than most dragons.
I mean, look at those claws. And
I mean,
they're made
yeah,
of
it's like-
stone, so they can really grip in.
Yeah, I think that might have been an afterthought, or not even an afterthought. Never even a thought. With that strength, though, you know what? I'm kind of not happy with it. I feel like it should be higher, right? Because, like, while I get it, right? The whole point is you can't imitate nature, and a dragon, I think, has like 30 strength. But, like, I feel like it would hurt more for metal claws than bone claws.
See, I guess the strength I get, it's the con to me that should be up.
Yeah, that is weird. Only 19. Like, I mean, something like this, you're telling me, right? And this is how we're going to think about it, because I'm me and I like to think about it this way. You're telling me that this big, huge motherfucker is just as bulky as Arias Scald.
Right?
Because Scald has a 19 con. So you're telling me they, in theory, have the same durability? Like, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
But, like you said, now I really think about it, it is technically hollow.
It is.
So it's not as beefy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, you break through, like, one piece of that rock, and you can get
It's
right
exposed.
into that chest, yeah. Well, and I guess it has a lot of holes in it, too.
That's true. The fact that you could see the glow through it.
Yeah. Okay.
I buy into it.
Honestly,
Maybe not that much.
The other scores, I understand. Charisma, yeah, that thing is not trying to make friends or trick you like other dragons might. That thing is literally just built to kill.
Yeah. I'm a little unhappy with the intelligence, maybe, because, like, when I think of constructs, I guess maybe constructs in D&D are not the equivalent of, like, artificial intelligence in the way that I think about it, right? Like, you think of, like R2-D2, right? That's a construct, right? That dude was smart, or maybe he wasn't. I don't remember.
I think he was, but I mean, like, this thing has no free will. Like, it doesn't do anything unless commanded by its master.
That's true, but also you would think, like, it would have a designation, so it would need to, like, understand that. But I guess maybe that would be more of a wisdom-based thing.
Right, which is also...
But I guess it also doesn't need that either, because, like, it's kind of... Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's not like it's got a negative intelligence or wisdom. It's still...
Oh, yeah. I do think the dex should be lower.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this thing's going to be very dexterous.
Even if it's hollow, right? Even if it's hollow, how the hell is this thing dexterous? Like,
I mean, like, it can't move very well. It can't.
Yeah, like, I don't know, but like, it's got a 90 flying speed, so obviously it's. I don't know. Take it up with wizards.
Plus 11 on the save, plus 8 on the con. That makes sense. Strong.
I mean, yeah, that's the two things it needs.
Radiant, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. So, Radiant kind of confuses me that it's resistant to that, considering this thing is made with dark magic.
But it does have that radiant breath down at the bottom.
That's true.
So I think maybe it was built with dark magic, and dark magic normally has a bad reaction with radiant, but I assume that the person who made this knew that, and therefore provided it with some defenses for that specifically.
Maybe I screwed up with the origin there, but I think the dark magic has something to do with radiant energy. Let me...
Maybe like the killing of a radiant being. So like it's maliciously obtained radiant damage. That would make sense.
Okay, serves their evil creator. Demonic magic. Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know where the radiant comes from.
Interesting. Well, like we said, that's up to you guys to determine.
Yeah.
I mean, the immunity to cold and poison makes sense. I mean, Icewind Dale, like, it's gotta travel through this cold. You can't poison something that's technically not alive.
Right, and I don't think you can poison anything that is made of stone.
Stone, usually creatures that are made of stone and made of metal, you can't poison because most of them don't have, like, poison implies that there's, like, lungs there.
Right, something to, like, affect, like.
And this is not this being is not necessarily alive. So.
It has a lot of condition immunities.
Yeah.
Can't charm it can't be exhausted, can't be frightened, can't be paralyzed, petrified, or poisoned.
But that does... What does that leave open? That it can be grappled, which is
huge.
Which is not does not make a lot of sense. It can be grappled.
Get it in a headlock.
It could technically be put to sleep.
Well, I guess grappled makes sense because you can only grapple things up to a certain size.
That's true. So like a creature of large, because large is 1 down.
Right. Large can potentially grapple this thing. But
so technically a Goliath, if you're playing a Goliath PC, you could technically grapple this thing. Because I think they count as large.
I can't remember.
D&D Goliath.
I think they're still considered medium.
Are they? They might be. I would let a Goliath grapple this thing.
Rip it.
Let's see.
Should play through Icewind Dale and I'll play Cryo.
Well, I mean, here. So, yeah, powerful build, which technically
that's right.
Furbolgs have too.
Yeah, powerful build lets you act as a large creature.
It lets you act as a large creature when you push, drag, or lift. I would consider, like, a grapple you would be trying to, like, drag, right?
I don't know. Grapple... Because when you're grappled, you're almost incapacitated.
That's true. I mean, you would definitely be able to do it if, let's say, a wizard cast enlarge on a Goliath. Then you could, for sure.
That'd be actually
which would be sick. It'd be like a kaiju battle or whatever.
Okay, so it only knows the length. Oh, well, I guess. Passive perception 10. I can see it.
It's got bad whiz.
Yeah. And then dark vision 120 feet. Makes sense. It can see in the dark. Its eyes are literally glowing.
Yeah. Like a tractor beam.
Right.
Or like a floodlight.
So it's not just a language known by its creator, but it's all languages known by its creator.
That would make sense. I mean, it's kind of like enacting your mental like link into the creature.
Actually, that could be helpful, especially like depending on how the villain you've created that creates one of these things comes into play.
Huh, that's interesting though. So that implies that it can speak, not just listen, because typically it will say can only like understand, but this implies that it can speak.
Well, it is technically it's not technically a dragon, because it's just a construct, but some constructs can speak, though their speech is very minor. With an intelligence of 10, I'm trying to think.
I mean, intelligence of 10 implies just like average intelligence. Like, like the average human being has 10s all across the board, technically, is like the logic behind it.
So yeah, I mean, this thing... But I guess it comes down to how you want to play it. Does it have the ability to create vocals, since it doesn't actually have a mouth?
I mean, I would even argue that like if the person who creates this has psychic capabilities, it could also possess those. Like if Sakudo, oh god, he's gonna watch this and get so many ideas. If Sakudo wanted to create one of these, I would argue that his psychic link would transfer.
Okay.
Technically, I guess. But that's also kind of abstract and up for interpretation for people.
So it's got the mutable form. We already talked about that. Magic resistance makes sense. It is Chardalyn is magically charged rock. Siege monster. It's kind of cool that it deals double damage to objects and structures.
That's the same ability that earth elementals possess.
Yes, that is.
It's just because the stone nature and being able to just pummel shit it's just so much easier because your entire body is made of metal.
Unusual nature. So unusual nature is weird in a way to me because, like, okay, it makes sense. It doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep. But a long rest does not heal this thing.
Well, that would make sense. It needs repairs.
Yeah.
Rest wouldn't do anything because it's not a being. That's another thing too that I've always thought about is like, how does it work for like Warforged?
Right.
Like I
They're
would argue the same
self-repairing? I
thing.
don't know.
I would argue the same would apply. It's like, why would sleep benefit them?
So I don't remember who it was. They're on YouTube, so I'm sorry I cannot credit them. But they have a D&D campaign, and they were talking about a member who plays a Warforged. And he said, okay, you can be a Warforged, but you cannot heal through natural means. They have an artificer in the group who has to repair him.
See, that makes sense. Like that
Right.
that's another reason why I kind of like if somebody's playing a Warforged, you should always have somebody who's also playing an artificer because then there's already a built-in dynamic there.
Right.
Right? There's an easy like friendship avenue where it's like, oh, we can collaborate, or maybe their backstories were, you know, similar, or maybe that artificer created the Warforged, so there's an even bigger connection, right? I always argue that like if you got a Warforged, probably have an artificer.
I think how we did Stan, because Torchic and I talked about this, is I ruled that like his armor and stuff takes damage and does not naturally heal. So like if, you know, he gets a piece of his chest ripped off, it's just exposed. What the magic heals is his like soul or spirit in the Warforged.
That makes sense.
And we did that because,
like
you know,
that.
it's one shots, and I didn't want to have to like, hey,
Really think
someone
about it?
Yeah, I didn't want to have to really think about it and be like, hey, someone has to play an artificer so they can heal Stan, or Stan's just gonna die.
If I would have known, because I don't think I knew he was I think you guys were keeping that a secret from me.
Yeah, I think everything was in secret. Like,
I don't think you guys were
think-
telling me that he was a Warforged.
Right?
If I would have known that, I think I might have played an artificer just to help you out, in like the sense of like, okay, I would have had
We
the avenue.
actually did have an artificer in the first one shot.
He was an alchemist, though, I
Yes.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the alchemist
Yeah.
subclass on it. But...
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So there was one. So I guess my little logic of there should always be an artificer played out a little bit, but
Until campaign 3, when we have. Oh, we had a healer. Never mind. We finally had
did
a healer.
we? Oh, we did. We did. I mean, Avi took some paladin levels just
That's
to
true. Yeah.
keep some things
We
intact,
did
and
have
then
a full paladin with Jack.
that's true. And then I didn't get to do fuck all because everything happened on. You know what? It's fine. We don't need to talk about that. Go watch the one shot, guys. Where I sat there the whole time just being like, well, I'm useless.
Hey. And the upcoming one shot, self-plug. Hopefully you will have a chance to do more.
I think
It
I'll
will
be
not
okay.
be set on the water.
Well, that's good because if there's one thing Avi's learned is that no, water is not great for
Yeah,
him.
he's not a pirate.
Because I mean, honestly, Avi and water have had a really rocky relationship since the beginning when Stan jumped in the fucking ocean
That's
and almost
true.
got hit by. So
Yeah.
Stan just Avi doesn't like water. That's canon now.
Avi does not like water. Alright, where are we at?
But yeah, so back
we
to
got a little
this.
Yeah, we got a little off topic. Back
So,
to the
sorry,
actions.
y'all.
Multi-attack. So that makes sense. I think all dragons have multi-attack. What is it? 2. Oh, this one's 2 with its claws. Is that normal?
The dragon uses its malevolent presence, which we'll get to, and then makes 3 attacks.
Oh, that's right. If the dragon isn't flying, it can also make 1 attack. So technically, it can have 4 if it's on
really?
the ground. I guess that's how I read that. Dragon uses it takes 3 attacks, 2 with its claws and 1 with its tail. If the dragon isn't flying, it can also make 1 attack with its wings.
I think it means it could also make 1 attack with its wing, like substitute it. I think it means. Oh, I don't know. That's an iffy one.
See,
I can't really
okay.
tell.
And I think I did that because I think that's possibly Mercer thing that I learned from watching Critical Role. I think during the Chroma Conclave arc, when they fight it, there's a dragon that makes 4 attacks because it's on the ground. I could be wrong.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But I kind of think that's a thing in that campaign.
I don't really understand how wings would make an attack, but
I think it's more of like a gust thing. That's how I always thought of it.
I guess I get that.
Because I think some dragons, if you get hit with the wing attack, you're knocked prone because it pushes you down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This not being a large enough dragon, probably.
Yeah, I probably can't do that.
Oh, Malevolent Presence, though, is kind of broken.
Well, because then it does this. I mean, it does this at the start of every attack.
Any
More or
creature with an
less.
intelligence of 4 or more that's within 30 feet must succeed on a DC 16 Wisdom saving throw or be charmed for an entire minute.
Jesus. A charmed creature in this way fixates on another creature that the dragon chooses.
Yes. And move as close as it can and then melee attack, which is pretty normal.
Okay.
For that
I was
kind
gonna
of
say, I was
situation.
like, how is this helpful? I was like, the charmed creatures, but it makes them attack each other basically.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, if you have honestly, if I threw one of these guys against the lot from the last one shot, there's a good chance you all fail that because none of you are very wise.
Yeah, I mean, I built Avi that way.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Avi is the classic, go in, beat shit up, but has no mental fortitude.
Right.
It's all physical fortitude. And honestly, I even went as far as to say he's kind of just strong because his con is only good because he has an item. So I kind of was like, he's just kind of strong, but not really like that great at anything else, which is pretty crazy. Honestly, though, if I threw this guy at you guys, this wouldn't even matter because it's a DC 16 wisdom save. You and Scald have proficiency in wisdom saving throws, and your wisdoms are good. Sakudo's wisdom is kind of shit, but he gets advantage on wisdom saving throws. So like, that's why I don't throw a lot of wisdom creatures at you guys anymore, because one,
like,
I know you will, but sometimes I will throw the wisdom at you because sometimes you do fail them.
That's true.
So it's like I like to mix it up, but typically I know, like, all right, most of the time if a creature that I throw at you guys has a wisdom, you're gonna probably just succeed anyway.
The Radiant Breath, which is pretty similar for like really any dragon breath weapon, recharge 5 to 6. It's a little weaker though, I'm pretty sure, because it's only 7d8.
Yeah, I do like but it does recharge on a 5 to 6, and I think most breath weapons only recharge on a 6. So this thing probably uses its weapon twice as much. Which I do like that it's radiant though.
Right, and it's DC 16 though, which is kind of
That's pretty good actually,
Yeah.
considering it's not technically a dragon.
it's a dex save, so I'd get smoked by it.
You'd get smoked, Scald would get mega smoked, and Sakudo would probably get untouched because of evasion.
Right. Yeah, he'd
Which
be able to
fucking
save and then
evasion. It just sucks because now it's like, god damn it, I can't use any wisdom against you guys, and I definitely can't use dex against Sakudo.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta hit that dude with like, I was gonna say strength, but his strength's pretty good. I gotta hit him with like intelligence. I gotta hit you guys with intelligence saving throws.
Well, that's like my favorite thing with Torchic and everybody talking like, good luck taking out Stan 100. And I was like, there's way more ways to kill players than dropping 0 HP, guys.
Like seriously, if you use like feeble mind on me, I'm fucked.
Well, that's what it was like. I told Torchic, I'm like, Torchic, have you ever heard of intellect devourers?
Yeah. If I fucking drop to 0, which is not that hard, it's game time, boys.
Right.
So, but
So yeah, that's the stat block of this thing. Let us know what you think of that, and we will move on to how Cryo would use it.
oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so listen, right? You can do whatever you want. Chardalyn Dragon Cult. I just have to say it every time because it's kind of my classic nowadays. But like in all seriousness, I think that this is a really good, like, fake final boss, if that makes
Yes.
any sense.
I think the exact same thing.
This is a humongous opportunity for like the classic red herring, where like you hype it up, like, and everybody's like, have you seen the metal dragon flying around? Oh, blah, 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 and like hyping that up and like amping that up, and then like you finally get to it, you finally kill it, destroy it, and then right, because nobody knows what's going on with this thing, you find out, like, you see the heart and you're like, holy shit, it's not made of metal, it's a construct, or like it's not just like plated, it's
stone.
Somebody made this, right? And then that's a whole new thing, because you're like, somebody made this, like,
oh shit,
like holy shit, like
to make that.
Yeah, and that's probably where the story would begin, right? Like you built this whole up and everybody thinks like, okay, cool, like we're done with this. That was a cool build-up arc. Now we move on to something else. It's like, no, this is the beginning.
Midpoint. Yeah.
And I like the idea of like, this isn't the first one, right? And then you have to fight another one, right? But maybe that one, because like, two at the same time, maybe not so much, but you fight this one. But I also like to think, right, because it's a construct, right? You can change things. You can alter things. You can configure it. And I would like to think that somebody
homebrew to the second one.
Exactly. Get a little
like a Chardalyn Dragon V2.
Chardalyn Dragon 2.0, right? Where it's a little beefier, right? It's like upgrading with the party, right? Like they think that they know something, and they know a certain degree. Like, don't change too much to the point where it's a completely different creature. Like they'll still know, like, okay, poison's probably not a good idea. You know, let's stick to other things. But like sneak in some interesting stuff. Like instead of the radiant breath, maybe now it's fire. Right? And instead of wings, right? Instead of wings, maybe this kind of dragon is like jet propulsioned, which could make for an interesting dynamic with its wing attack. And maybe instead of a wing attack, it like shoots flames out of its little like jetpack type of situation.
So it can burn you.
Right? You add like a fiery element, and so it's like it's still the base same dragon, a little bit beefier, maybe up the AC a little bit, and then it throws them for a loop when they're like, what the fuck? Like, this is
now
similar.
It's almost like you're fighting the Chardalyn dragon skinned around a red dragon.
Yeah. And to another, like, interesting, like, thought process and dynamic, like, is, like, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this, is, like, sometimes it's scarier to fight something that is kind of familiar to something that you know, rather than fighting something completely different, right?
I get that,
because you're subverting expectations, right? They think they're fighting something, and then they end up not fighting.
We know how to kill this. Then they try it, and it's like,
It's the confusion of it, right? Because if they fight like a red dragon, they're like, oh well, of course it's not gonna be the same. They just, the thought of the Charlatan dragon is gone, right? It's gone. But this, it would take it and like kind of fuck with them a little bit, and so you kind of like mind fucking them and like doing all that stuff, and then obviously that second one would lead into like, okay, well, something's still making these, right?
Right. So
and then
find out what stop that.
Because too, you could also like play around in it, like the first Chardalyn dragon. So, like somebody could be like, oh, maybe it was created a long time ago, and the person who created it's dead, right? And so they kind of feel like, oh, that's a good idea. So this is the last one. And then when another one pops up, they're like, fuck, this person's still alive. And then you could develop a real villain that way,
right?
You know, like a level 20 human wizard, or, you know, elven wizard or something like that, who maybe it's a lich. You know, maybe it's a lich, which I think would be super sick, like if you combined this with like a skeleton dragon.
Yes.
And so like
a Dracolich.
Yeah, like but not necessarily a Dracolich, because then you would kind of start merging into a territory that maybe you don't want to go with. But like, I kind of like the idea that like, instead of it being hollow, there's a dragon skeleton inside of it. Like,
right?
Which I think would be pretty cool, because then they're like, oh fuck, this is bad.
I mean, that makes sense. Like, that would be how they built a dragon. Like, they molded the stone around the bones of the sea dragon.
I also have another idea, which is maybe a little bit interesting, and I don't know how it works because I don't know anything about them. But instead of like the being like, oh, a wizard, a really powerful wizard created this, maybe another dragon did it.
Right?
Because dragons are pretty smart, so maybe another dragon.
Well, I mean, maybe
you would probably still need a wizard, but like the fun, cool thing would be like, okay, we finally found the wizard who's been making all these dragons, and then you kill that guy, and then you find out that he was actually working for a real dragon who was trying to like, you know, create a new world order of like metallic dragons and shit, and then you're like, oh, fuck, like just continue to like be like, there's more. There's always more. So I think that would be really cool. If I was to ever throw this at you guys would probably obliterate it pretty fucking fast. Especially considering Sakura does psychic damage, Scald would just pop fireballs off, and you would. I mean, honestly, you would probably have a hard time with. You would have a hard time with this, I think.
I was gonna say, like, I think I really would have a hard time with any sort of flying creature.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
not. I mean, I call lightning.
But this thing's isn't this resistant to lightning? It's not. So yeah, call lightning would work because you could just strike it down wherever the creature's at.
Yeah, I think as long as I kept distance, I'd be good. But this would not be a creature I'd be like, all right, go and bear stag and run up to it.
Yeah, Entangle would be pretty interesting for this.
It's true. I would probably like call lightning and then wild shape. So like I have you know, that extra HP on me.
Yeah, and then you could take a couple of hits. And then yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that's kind of the best way you would have to go about it. Kind of like what you did with the plant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
like wild shape, call lightning, wild shape, keep my distance, attack. I mean, like, it wasn't the most exciting battle for me, but like there was excitement because, you know, everybody else was dead.
Yeah. Everybody was absolutely fucking obliterated. Good times. Those were good times.
Well, yeah, I think that's gonna wrap this one up. I hope everybody enjoyed. Really cool creature from 5e. If you guys want to see something else, you know, leave a comment, let us know. We'll be back next month with, who knows, might be your suggestion.
We'll see.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add?
Take it easy, y'all. It's getting hot out there for some people, so make sure to stay refreshed and hydrated, and we will be coming back soon with something. Maybe we can make it water themed. I don't know. We'll find out.
Maybe. Yeah. All right, that's gonna do it. Hope y'all enjoy. Peace out.